Bang! Neevesknives. I'm Jared. How's everybody doing tonight? We are live and we got a guest today. Hopefully everybody is well. I seen Cue Ball. You got a little issue. We're gonna go over that here in 1 second because I might as well just say it. It'll be easier for me to just say it right here. What's up, dum dums? All right, let me bring in our guest, Blades and Fades. What's up, bud?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good. So tell everybody about your channel. He's got a knife channel on YouTube. Go ahead. You explain it.
All right. So I've been into knives for ever since I was a kid, and probably about 5 years ago, I started getting big into spider toes. Then I went down the rabbit hole of all the customization and mods, stuff like that. And I've always watched knife channels, and I always saw in the back of my head, like, I should try that one day. And 2 months ago, I just decided to give it a go, and I've been working at it ever since.
You've been going for 2 months?
Yep.
What was the channels you started watching?
Do
you remember?
Nick Shabazz, Metal Complex.
I think that's where everybody starts.
Birdshot.
Yeah. Those are the ones that you're going to find the most on the algorithm. I started with, originally, I started with Jim Skelton, and that led me to Nick Shabazz and then Metal Complex.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ones that are kind of leading the pack, those are the ones you're going to find when you, especially if you type anything knife in. I know when I first got on top of, a page when you type something about knives in, and I seen one of my videos popped up. Oh, fuck. I was about to do backflips. I was so excited that I wound up, on top of other channels. But I got a question here I got to answer really quick, and then we'll get to talking fun time. Let me get to this. So I'm pushing down with quite force. So cue ball, you smacked it on a Corian table, and now it's slipping out. Is that what's happening? He's got an AD 20.5, and when he pushes on the spine of it, it's with a bit of force, and it moves some, but it shouldn't slip at all. No, it should not slip at all. What I would say is open or close it first of all, and then look down inside of it and see if anything, like any oils down in there by the mechanism, any type of lint, anything like that. And then I would take it apart and see if your lock is engaging all the way. That would be the next thing I would check, because man, those locks are very durable. They're not known for really warping or anything like that, especially from being smacked. But Benjamin Kim, thank you for the donation. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. 3 pounds. So, and Cue Ball, if you got any other questions, or if you've tried any of that, just mention it, and I have no problem talking about it right here. Neville says, glad to see you guys giving Blades and Fades some time on live. I've been watching him for a little while because of his how-to vids. That's awesome. And then we got
good to see you, man.
Was that Caldwell says, Sean is my man. Glad to see
Brad Caldwell
getting.
What's up, Brad?
There you go, getting more recognition. He's a great guy. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to have you in here because, I'll be honest though, just all honesty, man, I didn't write down any like actual questions for you because I didn't know if you were going to show up, man. The last 3 people haven't showed up on me, but I got a lot of fun topics. So what I figured is we'll just talk about the topics that I got written down, right?
Yeah,
I think that'll be fun.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not too great at coming up with stuff on the spot, but
that's no problem, man. I'm good at it. So yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but you are the one live show that I watch religiously. So There's no other live show that I can really stand to sit through unless I'm just listening to it. But I like the way you do everything. So
I
you're
appreciate that.
definitely somebody that I look up to.
Thank you, man. Man, I appreciate that so much. Q1 Fiend just put up his link to his channel. Thank you, Fiend. Definitely go give him a sub. I just put it on the screen. Definitely go give him a follow. Let's get him to 1,000 and get him monetized. The one thing that sucks though is if you do get to 1,000 too fast, it doesn't matter. You got to get 4,000 hours of watch time. But usually by the time you hit 1,000, you usually have that.
You know
Usually
what?
happens every once in a time.
I actually have it's adding up pretty quick.
Yeah. I bet it seems like if you've only been doing it for a couple months, hell, I know it took me way longer than a couple months to hit a couple hundred subs. Way longer.
I have a couple videos that are, like over 2,000 views. So like a couple of them are getting up there, and I think those are the ones that really bring people in. And then the Millie Club, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's the Millie Para
Like the
the
Paramilli?
Millie PM2 Para 3 Club on Facebook, and it's a group with like 13,000 members, and it is like there's no other knife community online like it. Like literally everybody
That's
on
awesome.
there,
I don't
it's
think I've
like
heard
all
of it.
the greatest people.
That's awesome. And things like that are places you do want to join and get around and drop your links and I'm not saying like flex or anything, but tell people about your channel. You want to try to get as much exposure as you can. Breeze says, my cousin Breeze says, you don't really need a parachute to skydive, but you will need one if you want to go skydiving twice. Oh man, that's hilarious. Chris
It
says he
looks
subbed. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is they have a new mini Civivi Elementum coming out in 14C28M. It's a steel frame lock with I think it's a brass a brass hand rubbed finish show side. The blade length is 1.83 inches, 4.3 inches overall, with a blade stock of 90 thousandths. Have you tried the Elementum?
I have not. I actually tried a button lock, and it was cool for, I don't know, a couple minutes, and then I was like, eh. And they were actually out of stock, and I got it right around when it came out, so I ended up
Selling
making
it?
selling it, making like 20 bucks, putting it towards, I think I put it towards some scales for one of my shamans.
What does fades part of blades and fades? I'm guessing haircuts, right?
Yep, I am a barber.
There you go.
My hair's looking a little rough right now.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good. So the mini Elementum, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, because the regular Elementum was already a perfect size in my opinion. I really like that one, and I do think that is one of the best knives you can get for just a regular all-around EDC. They have so many options available now. They have a titanium scales you can get. It's just endless, the options. I do wish they had better micarta, but I guess there are some people that do like really small knives, so that's pretty cool for them. But it's not a liner lock. It's a steel frame lock, by the way, guys. It's not a liner lock. I was gonna pull it up, but I don't want our audio to get. I don't think it'll get messed up if I pulled it up, but I'm not gonna pull it up anyways. You guys can go find it. It's on Instagram. But it's a small Elementum. Okay. So how do you sharpen your knives at all?
Yes, sir.
How do you?
Well, I started. Were you gonna ask me how I sharpen?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what process do you use, or how do you do it?
Well, first I started off with a cheap Smith's Tri-Stone from Walmart, and
Yeah.
it's just it's like a a triangle with it. It has 3 different flat stones. It was
And you
like
can flip it.
Yep, and you flip it in the mount. And I started off with that, just practicing over and over again, like trial and error and watching videos and stuff until I got that down. And then a little while after that, I ended up getting a LANSKY system. And till this day, I think it's the favorite system that I've had so far because I get really consistent results. The clamp doesn't flex and stuff. You can get the knife locked in there real good.
Mhm.
So
You have the base and everything?
yep, I have the clamp that clamps onto the table, and then
Oh,
just
you don't have the base. You have the clamp that goes to the table.
I have it right in front of me. I'll grab it.
Because they have another setup where it's just a base and you can just set it on the table. Yeah, okay. Yep.
This is what I have. I clamp
Yep.
it on the corner of the table.
Yep.
Right here. And then
no, that's a good system. Which stones do you use? Do you use the diamonds?
No, I
You have the aluminum oxide.
Yep. I got the kit with the 5 stones and my black coarse actually broke the plastic part down here where your post goes in. It cracked. So right now my lowest is a 120 and then it goes to 280 and then 600 and then 1200 or no 1,000.
So I've got the same. I have the same system. My hand's just a base that just sets on the table. But I highly recommend getting a coarse diamond stone and a medium. You will bypass all those stones except for the last one, and then your ceramic, and it goes 10 times faster. And like with any steel, you could do Maximet, you could do S110V, and I mean fast. Like it works so much faster. The coarse stone that also, I should have said this, their diamond stones are really good quality. I have 2 of them and I've used the shit out of them, and the diamonds are still on there nicely. Like they're not wore off. Like I've wore out so many diamond plates and I still have those and they're still running strong. So really good diamond stones. So
I've been really happy with the quality of the LANSKY stuff and the price. You really can't beat it. But I also have the Work Sharp Precision Adjust.
Oh, you do got it. Okay.
I've had this for a couple months.
We're gonna talk about that.
I use it sometimes. I'm really OCD, so I'm not a fan of things that flex all around, and I like everything consistent and basically as perfect.
Did you see my video on some of the attachments?
Yeah.
So that
the
like, there's that little
stuff.
Well, there's that. Well, not just that. There's a guy making like 3D printed stuff for like a little base to go underneath the arm, so you don't get the flex. But also, I wanted to talk about this. Work Sharp just dropped basically, I don't know what they call, like a platinum edition or something, who knows, but another edition of it where it has multiple different stones, and it's supposed to be in the mail on the way. I just talked to them, so I should be testing that out very soon. Now I'll be honest right off the bat, guys, no matter what stones they've made so far, it will never compare to getting the clamp and the venev stones. It's not possible. It's just it's diamond plates versus venev stones. Venev stones are always going to be better. They're always going to last longer. And you're going to have to use the ceramic stone after the diamonds on their system, which, don't get me wrong, it's probably going to be amazing. And you're probably going to get amazing results. And it's going to be 10 times better than the original system. I guarantee it. So if somebody wants to just buy their system outright and not even mess around with any attachments or anything like that, that's awesome. I kind of wish they would have just made some sort of attachment like what's already getting made out there by like Gritomatic. But what I was going to say to you, though, is getting that attachment, though, or getting the extra stones that they're making is a big upgrade for that system. And if you're getting a little bit of flex, there are other ways to get that clamped on. You could cut out a little piece of wood and slip it underneath there. You could Somebody
Yeah.
else said a nut and a bolt, you know, you could do that. Like there's so many
Yeah.
things. But if you like the LANSKY system, you use what works because there's no
Well,
difference really in the edges. The edges are both going to be very similar as long as you're good at it. Whatever you're good at is what you should use.
yeah.
You know, it's
Well,
kind of like with anything, you know. So
yeah. Out of what I have, I prefer the LANSKY, but to be honest, I was about to buy a bunch of diamond stones and stuff for that, but I think I'm pretty set on spending the money on a KME and going that route, and
okay,
then I'll be set for life. That'll be
for sure.
everything that I ever want.
With the KME, like the argument, and I've gotten this argument so many times with people saying like, oh, if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, I might as well just get a KME. Like John Evans just said, $79. It comes with 3 rods, 6 stones, and a strop, the case, and that's for the work sharp system. Now, for a KME, you're talking about like $350, especially if you're talking about getting the other stones. Because, like, when you go online and you see the price, they give you a base price. The base price is kind of like any system. The base, like even a LANSKY, when you get the base thing, it's like $50. That's without the stand or the mount or whatever. That's without diamond stones. That's with aluminum. Like, there's so many other steps you can go, and you will get better results, in my opinion, especially on certain steels using diamonds. Yes, you can get really good results with aluminum oxide. Some steels just take better edges with diamonds. And if you take that part away, right, even if you say the edges are the exact same, you will get it far faster with diamonds. Now, there are some aluminum oxide stones out there that do cut incredibly fast. However, you are going to have to flatten them. You're going to have to put oil on them. You're going to have, like, there's just a lot of things to it, which I love aluminum oxide stones. I love them. I have tons of them. But with these little systems like this, like with the work sharp, the LANSKY, I wouldn't use anything but diamonds personally, just because it's a little stone on a knife. When you have a big stone, it's different. Big stones go a lot faster than a little stone on a big knife.
Yeah, oh, I don't
So
want to
no,
cut you
sorry.
off.
It's $79 for the whole thing, I believe. Cheese. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I really like the finish that you get with aluminum oxide stones.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be much smoother, and just with the 280 to or no 120 to 1,000, I can get a really nice mirror edge after I'm done stropping, and it I can get it scary sharp just with that.
Oh, for
But
sure.
the thing with the LANSKY, the stones being so narrow and everything, you spend twice as much time on it,
Yeah.
at
And that's
least.
basically what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, is just the time and effort you put into it with aluminum oxides. And aluminum oxides, they'll start getting very smooth. And then you want to flatten them, you want to condition them. You're going to have to do that no matter what. I mean, it's just inevitable until you have to do that. But no, for the first year and a half, maybe even, yeah, probably the first year and a half, I used only aluminum oxide stones. I never even used diamonds until after like a year and a half. That's why it was like a big thing to me, because I was spending so much time on aluminum oxides. Then I got a diamond and I was like, holy shit. It was like half the time. But
Yeah,
no, the finish, you're right though. The finishes are completely different. Aluminum oxides are finer. So like a 600 grit diamond is coarser than a 600 grit aluminum oxide. If you have, say, a diamond stone, the same grit as an aluminum oxide stone, you can actually use the one stone and then the other stone, because it's going to be a finer grit. Like say if you were going to try to go to a ceramic stone or something like that. Love the KME. It's high, but I think it's the bomb. I would like to try the workshop for comparison. The KME is always going to be better. You're talking about a lot more expensive, a lot more everything. But for the people that only have so much money, or maybe want to get it in parts, you can do the same thing with the KME, buy it in parts. But it is a great system. I think that's an amazing system. Even if you only have $50, you're going to get a damn good edge for $50. And then if you have the $79, you're going to get a phenomenal edge. And then if you really want to upgrade and start, because the attachment, what it does is it opens the door for you to try out different stones. Do you need to do that? No. You'll still be able to get a sharp edge with just the first setup. But if you go ahead, but if you want to try out different types of stones like veneves or whatever, any other type of stones, there's so many stones out there, like, you know, Shaptons and diamond, like, oh, I think we got a bad connection. Different diamond stones, different ceramic stones, the ruby stones. There's so many different kinds you can do. Angelo says, learn freehand. Yeah, but there's always going to be people out there that don't have the time or do not.
Am I back?
It's all good. They don't have the time, or maybe they just can't. Like there's one guy out here, he's only got one hand, and actually he's doing it freehand, to be honest. But some people are handicapped, some people have carpal tunnel, some people have, you know, there's just different reasons. So the Migron Villona, did you see my video on this knife?
I have not, actually.
Okay, so they are not, they're trying to get them available right now. They thought they were going to have them at the USA departments or whatever, but they do have a bunch made, but they're going to do a 3.5-inch version. This one is like a 4-inch blade, so they will have a 3.5-inch coming. They asked me if they should do that, and I said yeah, and then they asked me what upgrades they should do on it, and I told them about the choil, you know, because of the blade right here and the detent.
Right.
They said they would take care of it. So for anybody who did watch my video on this, just know that eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, they're going to do a 3.5-inch and they're going to fix the issues, which says a lot. I think it's really good when a company is willing to listen to the community and do upgrades that people want. Because there's so many companies out there that will, like, you could scream about something, everybody in the community could say the same thing, and they still won't fucking do anything about it. Salute to you, Jesus. Freehand is quicker than guided, but you're right, some can't, but a lot of guys are scared to try. Yeah, a lot of guys are scared to try because they don't want to fuck their knives up. They don't want to ruin their knives. And sometimes, because it does take effort, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time. And some people some people don't have a good, like, muscle memory with their hands and stuff. They just don't work with their hands. I've worked with my hands my whole life, so I'm like good at picking stuff up like that. But some people are not. And then some people just don't have the time to try. So it's like, why not? If you can get the same results with a system and that's what you'd prefer, do it for sure. Do whatever works. The Migron.
That's like,
go ahead.
That you're like me. My first job was construction. Then I learned how to become a mechanic. I was a mechanic for a long time.
Nice.
And I worked for an excavation company and then a gas company. And then I went on to barber school and get my barber's license and stuff. And I've always just had a real good feel for things, and I'm really meticulous. So I'm definitely good at hands-on stuff, but my downfall is that I take a long time with stuff because of my OCD.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's sometimes my downfall too, especially like with edges, because there's things that does not matter. Like, it does not matter, and I will hurt myself going back and doing it again, or just trying to touch something up, something that's so stupid and something so small, and nobody would care but me, and I will go back at it, and then now I got to redo the whole fucking thing.
And both of these hinders kicked my ass. I sharpened these both. Well, actually, I got this one maybe a week ago, and I sharpened it 2 days ago. I spent hours on this trying to figure out how to get an even looking bevel, because this is the harpoon spanto, and the blade grind, it gets thicker in the center right here. So if
Yeah,
you do
I know what you
all
mean.
one angle on the fixed system,
It's
it'll
going to be
be real
thicker and
ugly.
it'll be bigger in the thicker area.
Yep. And then
So what, did you do that,
this,
or did you just leave it?
I did 3 different angles when I sharpened it actually. And it took me a
Wow.
little while to figure out how I wanted to do it. But I did 20 degrees per side along the straight. And then on the front, I did 25 degrees per side. And then right in the center where the thickest part of the grind is, I did like 28 degrees. And real lightly, like 28 or 29, real lightly, just to, and I kind of brought the 20 over a hair and then the 25 over a hair, and just it real carefully blended it together.
Yeah,
And are you getting a good shot of that?
I can see it. It's a little far away, but I can see it though. See, me personally with that, I would have just went with the same angle all the way up. And the reason why is because I know it gets thicker at the tip, and the point of it is to be a different angle. Like I would have just went 17 degrees all the way across. Yeah, I can see it. You made it look good. But
Yeah, well, with
sorry, go ahead.
this knife is probably, I don't know, probably 30,000, 40,000
Yeah,
behind the edge. This is a
yeah.
thick blade, so 17 degrees per side
Would make
would
it
be
huge.
halfway up the freaking knife.
No, I've
That's
done
the
it a
only
bunch of
reason I
times.
did
It
this.
does make a big bevel. It makes a nice big bevel, but it makes it so much better in performance. The edge retention goes
yeah,
up massively. Not just that,
for
but it
sure.
also the cutting performance actually it makes it actually work. Now, obviously a lot of people just stick to like 22 degrees per side, 25 degrees per side on those. I'll fucking drop them down, put a nice big screaming bevel across, and it makes it just so much better for use. But yeah, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody prefers different things. I don't mind a beautiful, nice, big edge bevel. I think that looks beautiful on a lot of knives. Now, if the knife was only this tall, I would say, yeah, fuck that. Like something like this. If the knife's only this tall, then yeah, I wouldn't do something like that.
My Spydercos, they're all at either 17 or some are even at 15. I dropped all these down, but with the Hinder, just with it being a really expensive knife, I didn't want to do anything too crazy just in case I ever want to resell it,
Yep. A lot of people think like that. And that's another reason why I always scream about plunge grinds and choils. Because when these companies fuck up a plunge grind, then say you want to sharpen it, but you want to be able to resell it later. If you put a big ass smile on that thing, that price just went down significantly. But if your edge looks nice and clean, then you can sell it accordingly. Very nice, for a good price. You won't really lose too much. But you put a big old fucking smile on that thing, you can guarantee you're going to lose some money. And everybody that says, "Oh, it doesn't matter," it does matter big time.
The knives that I really love are the ones that are the thinnest behind the edge. Like this 0640 has a regrind, and this is like a 15 degrees per side edge, and you can barely see
you
it.
can barely
It's
see it.
so
Yeah.
clean looking. And this thing is a freaking laser. I mean, I don't even want to touch the blade with my skin. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just did two Liang Ma's that are so thin behind the edge, and I did 17 degrees per side, and they're small edge bevels. You wouldn't think it was 17 degrees per side. Everyday EDC. Thank you for the donation. I'm back and need to borrow $5. Any takers? Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You're awesome, man. It doesn't matter to me sometimes. Gotten some great deals that way. Oh, you're talking about buying it. Yeah, some
Knives
people
that have been sharpened.
Well, no, I don't think it matters if it's been sharpened. I think it matters if it looks bad. So like if I go to sell you a Medford or a Hinder or something like that, and the edge looks fine, but then all right here is just destroyed. It just makes it look bad. Now, me personally, I don't mind buying them either because I'll just cut my own fucking choil in. But a lot of people, though, they say, I don't want to pay regular price for that. You know, I can buy a new one with a fresh edge that's done right, even though it's not about it being done right. It's just the plunge grind they gave you.
Most factory edges aren't really done right if you're that serious about it.
What do you mean? Oh, no, hell no. Oh, that's another topic we're going to talk about. So because I actually heard this from somebody else, Maurice Clemens. Thank you for the 2 bones, brother. I appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you. This was a knife maker that was saying this, and he was talking to another knife maker that was learning to sharpen and everything, and he was telling him that he likes to sharpen his knives on stone. So obviously he grinds his knives with a belt, but then afterwards to put an edge on it, he freehand sharpens it on a stone. And he was saying that you think you're a good grinder until it touches the stone, because the stones, flat stones, really show you how poorly of a grinder you are. Same thing with factory or production knives. When they hit the stones and you sharpen them, you know, it's way different than sharpening it on a belt. A belt will hide all that shit. A stone will bring out all the inconsistencies in that knife, and you will be able to see how bad their edge was, how much they turned, or maybe the grind, how inconsistent the grind was, like where it was thin in one area, thick in another, how off the bevel is. So many things. I found that fascinating when he was talking about it, because it's the truth, man. It really shows you. And I can imagine being you know, a knife maker and then thinking how good I was until, you know, somebody freehand sharpens my one of my knives, and it's like, holy shit, did I do a bad job? Because, you know, the edge is like this, or
Well, there's always going to be someone better than you, you know.
oh,
Always.
for sure.
It's all for me. I mean, I thought that I got a good edge back 2 years ago when I first started sharpening, and my edges now compared to then is completely different. So it's just you're always learning.
Yep. I actually said the same thing. I said, when I thought I knew what I was doing, I realized now I was just beginning. I didn't know anything. And I've told a lot of people that are trying to sharpen or trying to learn how to sharpen that when they feel like they're not getting it, because usually this is how people say it. They say, and I've had so many people say this to me, they say, I thought I was getting it, I was getting good results, I thought I had it down, and then now, man, I just can't get it, and I'm just messing everything up, and I feel like I'm going backwards. And I always tell them, well, that means you're like right on the verge, or at the corner of turning the corner and actually learning how to be a good sharpener, because it does take ups and downs. It does take a little bit of failing. Joshua says, I started with the work sharp and using Sharpie on the blade first to make sure I could adjust angles until all the Sharpie disappears. Some works for free. A lot of people do the Sharpie trick. I never did, and I'll be honest, I didn't, just because I was stubborn. Like, I was just stubborn. Now I knew about that trick from when I was a kid. I actually saw somebody try to claim that they invented that, and I and I was like, come on, man, you didn't invent that shit. I was doing that when I was a kid, like with little knives and chisels and stuff like that. But I don't know why, but I got stubborn about it, and I wouldn't do it because I wanted to know that I could just do it myself, right, without relying on the marker. But the marker is a great way to know you're hitting the right angle. And all it is you're just taking the edge, you're taking a marker, you're literally drawing a marker across the edge, and then when you get it on the stone, you're making sure it rubs off at the angle you're at. If it hits higher than it, then you know your angle's too low. If you're hitting below the top of the marker, then you know your angle's too high. Me personally, I can do that without a marker, though. I can just do that. I'm gonna grab something with a bigger edge. I can do that with just the edge. If let me if I am sharpening, so let me try to get something you guys can see. So like with no, not good enough. Oh, you know what? I'll just bring this one back up. Yeah, if I take this edge and you see it where it's shiny, so if I put this on the stone and it's hitting the very top of the edge, well then I know my angle is too low. And what I mean by too low is if this is my stone, it's too low. Now, if I'm only hitting the very bottom of the edge, like when I go across my stone and I look at it and I see the scratches, if I'm only at the very, very tip of the edge, well, then that means my angle's too high. So that means I need to drop it down. And remember, if it's hitting the top of it, that means I'm too low. You want to get right on it, unless if you're trying to drop your angle. If you're trying to drop your angle, then that's a good thing to hit the top of the bevel, because you're trying to drop your angle. So, and with just about any factory edge, you're going to want to do that. I personally don't ever want the factory angle on there. Spyderco is about the only one I'm like okay with the factory angle. Maurice needs to borrow 3 bones. Did Maurice Maurice? Thank you, man. I appreciate the donation. Holy cow. Did I already do that one? I don't think so. I don't think I did. Thank you for the donation. I'm sorry if I missed it. I must have been chit chatting. Let me turn this down. Sorry, guys. Now I'll make sure. Oh, Shane! I see another one. Holy cow. You guys are full of donations tonight. You guys are awesome, man. Thank you so much, Shane. I really appreciate it. Guys, support the channels you love. I always appreciate the donations. It's a massive help. You guys have no idea. It's such a huge thing. I was talking to somebody earlier and they they had mailed a knife to me, and they were like, holy cow, man, because they put insurance on it, and they're like, holy shit, man, that was expensive. I said, yeah, you're telling me. His audio's off. I'll wait till I see him come back. 117 people in here. You guys are amazing. Don't forget to drop a like if you're liking the content. Why freehand when we have these awesome systems? Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. There's no reason to do freehand if you want to do a system, especially with so many great systems out there. I personally, I find it therapeutic. But that doesn't mean I don't use a system. I even offer a system with my sharpening service. I'll do a system if people want a system. I also offer a belt finish. But I really like freehanding. So I find it therapeutic. I love the challenge. I love the abilities of how good I can do it. I like the thought of that I could do it out in the field. I like the thought that like I could do it in the fucking jungle if I needed to. K Mason, man, 14K. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yep, we hit 14K, man. Mile marker after mile marker. Guess what we're up to every 28 days, guys? You guys will never guess. Let me see. You guys probably would guess, but it's definitely over 3. I know that. I'm going to tell you guys right now. 3.4 thousand subs every 28 days is what we're at right now, this moment. Hey, Mom. I see Seems Logical saying hello. That's crazy. That's nuts. But yeah, we have remember, we had just hit 13 the other day when we were live. So anyways, let's get back to knife talk. But yes, if you don't have the time to learn and devote it and you don't give a shit, like the only thing that matters to you is about getting a sharp edge, yeah, a system, or hell, send it to me and pay me to do it. I'll do it. But there are a lot of people that really like the thought of in their kitchen, right? They got their nice, beautiful chef knife. They get their beautiful, because I like stones too. That's another thing. I get into stones. I love different kinds of stones and, like what type of finishes they bring, and some of the best stones you can get for freehand. And you can get big old blocks of them and they'll last forever. You can donate them to your grandchildren when you die or something, like those type of stones.
Hello?
What's up, bud? You ready?
Yep. Yeah, my family just got home, so
No
I had to
problem.
get
No problem.
everything situated.
It's all good, brother.
But yep.
But yeah, and in the kitchen before you cut up or do all your chef stuff in your kitchen, getting that stone out, hitting it a few times with your big ass, chef knife, or sitting on your workbench and hitting it up one of your folders or something. But same thing with a fixed angle system. You can get the same satisfaction out of a fixed angle system 100%. It's just what you're into. There's so many different types of people and the way they feel about it. So, and with a lot of systems, man, you can experience all the same stones I can experience freehand. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So, what made you get into hair cutting, Sean?
Um, I it's just something that kind of came across my mind. But I really always liked getting my hair cut. I always enjoyed it, and
Okay.
I just kind of always thought, well, in the back of my head, I always knew that it's something that I would be good at because I'm, good with my hands and fine details and stuff.
Mhm.
So I I kind of tested myself out. Started off cutting my own hair, and
I do that
I
myself.
was getting pretty good results.
Yeah,
And like I was fading my own hair and stuff,
I
and
do that
then
too.
I started doing friends' hair,
Yeah,
and I was like, I could I think I would enjoy doing this. So
yeah.
that's
I used to do
basically
I used to do a lot of my family's hair, my own hair, my little nephews and cousins and stuff. How long have you been doing it?
I got my license about 2.5, 3 years ago,
Awesome, awesome.
and
It's definitely an art, man.
barber school was full time for a year, so it's probably going on 4 years now. And I mean, the thing I really like about it is after you're done with a haircut, it's gratifying to see the person looking good and feeling good. Kind of like, when you sharpen your knife and you get a really nice edge,
For
that
sure.
it
I
that
agree.
gratification comes afterwards when you see the
The
finished
result.
product.
Before
Yep.
and after, yeah. I completely agree, and I understand where that passion comes from. And because like I said, I've done a bunch of people's hairs, and sometimes I watch the videos on people getting like some really nice haircuts, and even just like the little stuff like lining the edges up nice and perfect and matching them up. That's very difficult to get down, and you do
Yep.
have to have a little bit of I don't know, balance, I guess you could say, like to be able to even things out and be able to see one side to another and know it's lining up good. So, do you have your own shop? Or are you in somebody else's shop? Are you planning on
Um,
getting a shop?
well,
Hey,
my girlfriend says hi.
what's
Um, so I I've worked at a couple shops, but about, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, I moved 2.5 hours away from where I had always lived my whole life. So I built up a clientele back there, and right as soon as I started to get busy, finally, I moved down here because I met my girlfriend, and she lived down here. So um, I started working at a shop down here, and then all the COVID stuff happened, and that really messed things up. And I had my daughter. My daughter was born right before all the restrictions and everything got all ridiculous. So I for the first several months after she was born, I I mainly just focused on taking care of her. And um,
congratulations on the daughter.
my my girlfriend has a really good job. She's a dental assistant, and the office that she works at, they really value their employees, and they're like top rated in the state.
Yeah,
So um, yeah, I was able to do that. And right now, currently, I have clients come to the house here and there, but
my aunt did
it's
it for
still a little
years.
slow.
My aunt did it for years out of her house. Carrie, there's a money sign in the chat where you type this in at. Look to the right of the chat. You'll see a little money symbol. You just hit that, and then just go from there. You have to put in your credit card number if your system doesn't know it already. But thank you, though. I appreciate the offer. Been using a diamond stick, ceramic, and strop. Good to have. It's always good to have a diamond stick and a ceramic rod and strop. That's awesome. I gave you your first haircut a month old. Well, I would hope so, Mom. I would hope I wasn't doing it myself by 3 months old. But I know I was doing it by 4 years old, though. She knows the joke. I shaved my arms. Well, one arm, my left mostly, got to test that edge. I know I got splotches of hair all over. Like it gets to a point to where I'm like, man, I got to do my leg hair. So let me ask you: do you use straight razors?
Oh yeah, that
So I figured that. So what?
that's actually
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
that's actually one of the ways that I test my knives is to shave, but it's not just the fact that it shaves. Like there's different levels to it cutting
For sure.
hair. Like,
Mhm.
you have at the sharpest that I've ever been able to get it is where it blows through the hair without even, needing to touch your skin. You just basically hover over it and it just blows through it.
Yeah.
And
Treetop.
what I would yeah, what I would consider acceptable is like, touching your skin and going through it pretty easy, but it's just there's still a difference. But if you have to press into your skin or anything, it's time to strop it up or put
Yeah.
a new edge
If you're
on.
pulling hair, yeah. If you're pulling hair or snagging hair, but some people don't even consider that. Some people literally don't even require their edge to have to shave hair. As long as it can cut paper, they're good. So, and I understand that because think
You
about
know?
it. If you really think about it, most of the shit you cut being hair whittling sharp isn't even necessary as long as it, can cut really good. Now, don't get me wrong, hair whittling sharp is awesome, but it only lasts so long on an edge, and then it gets down to, the aggressively sharp, like shaving paper and stuff. But I like it when I go to just touch my hair and it barely touches skin, so it's not like I drag it. I just touch the hair like that, and it just goes right through it. Carrie, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
I
for the five
really,
pounds, Carrie. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. She figured it out.
I
But so
really,
you have
sorry.
straight razors that you use as a barber though?
Oh yeah, I have uh, a handful of straight razors. Not like my knife collection, but I have three. I started off with a $8 straight razor, and actually to this day, that is my favorite one to use. I'm the best with that one, and all of them have disposable blades. So that's basically the law, like the regulation. You're not allowed to use like the old school straight razors. It has to be the disposable blades, but it
Yeah.
works out because there you get 100 for like $6 or $7,
Uh-huh.
and it's use one per client, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't add up to much.
Steel D, thank you for the $2. The goat of the knife YouTubers. Thank you for everything. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Um,
But
I got
using
into
using oh,
sorry, go ahead.
using the straight razor on clients and stuff, doing so much straight razor work really gave me like a whole nother level of feel for edge sharpness when it comes to going through hair specifically,
Yeah.
because like for instance, some people's beards, everybody has different hair types. Like you have hair texture, and then you have the density, and then you have, your coarseness, which is basically like, how thick is each hair.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
certain people have really coarse
Coarse
hair,
hair.
and
Yeah.
it'll eat up a blade real quick. Like I
Yeah.
might have to change the blade twice on one
Yeah,
person in
I know
order,
what you mean.
to not irritate them, because that's the whole thing when you're straight razoring. You want it as sharp as possible so you're not having to push in or anything. No drag, just clean cut, and you don't have to go back over it.
Seems
That's
logical.
kind of the whole thing.
Seems logical. Says you can use straight razors here in New York. It's like friction folder design. They clean it off between customers. Yeah, I bought one of those. Actually, two of them. I'm going to talk about it. Murky Ocean says his beard is coarse and thick as fuck. Johnny H, thank you, man.
I
Love the
can
stream. Thank
actually,
you, Johnny. I appreciate it. So I wound up
I
getting one of the straight razors with the replaceable razors, right? I wound up getting one of those first,
right.
and I used it a little bit. I didn't like it. First of all, I wasn't good with straight razors yet. So right off the bat, I want to, that's a disclaimer, but it
Give me
felt like
two
the razor
seconds.
was too thin. Yeah, go ahead. Take
I'm
your
gonna
time.
I'm gonna grab a couple of mine, and
Yeah,
I'll
go ahead.
show you. I'll show you what one I think you might like, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Awesome. But I want to, you guys might know already, but I got one of these straight razors from, I don't know, Instagram or something, and it has a replaceable blade on it, but the blade was just so thin that I felt like it was going to cut me more than shave my hair. So I wound up getting an actual straight razor, and I still use it today, but not like I thought I was gonna. So I've sharpened it up a couple times. It does take a pretty damn good edge, but my facial hair just feels a little too coarse for it, especially in my chin area. Now my cheeks are okay, and I'm pretty good at using it, but I think I just need a better quality one. And I have talked to a couple people that have said, like, there's a big difference between the cheap shit ones. Obviously, like I know that between folders, right? Like a gas station knife and this knife, the edges are going to be completely different. And that thing was a cheap one.
All right, I'm back. Can you see me?
Perfectly.
All right, so first I'll show you the one that I like the best, and this one you can get for $7 or $8, either
Okay.
at you can get on Amazon or at like Sally's Beauty Supply, and it's just called Magic Razor. The handle itself is plastic and it flexes, but the way you hold it and use it, that really doesn't matter at
Right.
all.
You want to be able to fold it and hold it like that.
Yeah, so
Well, let me ask you
um
something though. You don't think that the steel of a better quality, more expensive one will be better than a cheap few dollar one?
well, actually I have a nice expensive one that has it's like Swiss forged steel or some kind of, the
Swiss
blades
steel,
are
yeah. It's
much
like
more
what,
expensive.
yeah, it's like what
Much more expensive.
Victorinox uses.
This is a feather razor, which Feather is the brand, and this razor itself is like over $100. And then
That's a replaceable razor though, right?
yep, and the way that's built, um, it looks like it's old fashioned. However, this pops off, and then you have your blade in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got this one because back when I was in barber school, everybody said, oh, these are the best, blah blah blah, and I came to find that you really don't get much more out of these blades. These blades are at a minimum 10 times more expensive. These are
Yeah.
like $1 a blade
Yeah.
versus
The one that I have is a double-sided razor. Cow, thank you for the donation.
you said is
I was just talking about it, Picao. Go check out WorkSharp's new system for $79.99. It's different than the original one for $50. You get 6 stones or something like that. I got one on the way, but that's a great system to start with. But if you want the best, you're talking about KME, but you're talking about a lot more money. But the WorkSharp Precision Guided Sharpener, the upgraded version, try that out. Mr. G asks, have I ever tried to shave with a gas station knife? Yes, I have. So go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
All right, so these are the blades that I use. They're the best that I've found so far. Derby Premium. Now
Okay.
this is a brand that pretty much any barber that uses a straight razor a lot, they're all using Derby blades. They're just like the best for the money, and uh, you know, you can spend more, but it's not going to give you any better. It's like diminishing returns after
Okay,
this
so what I
point, you
was
know.
talking about was specifically the kind you resharpen. So
Right.
I've got one of those, right? And the one I have, it was a cheap one, but I've talked to a couple other guys that have them, and they say that when you do get one of those, the ones you want to resharpen, you do want to spend a few more bucks, not like outrageous money, but like the difference between $10 and say 50 or $100 maybe, because one, the
Oh
steel's
yeah.
going to be better quality, the heat treat's going to be better, just like on folding knives, you know. Like I wouldn't recommend somebody to get a gas station knife over say a Civivi, of course not, right? The heat treat's going to be way better, so the edges you're
Right.
going to be able to put on it are going to be way better. But then also when I put it on the stone and I sharpen it, I can tell even the bevels and the grinds are off. So like there's a bunch of little details that could make it better. Now I still use it. But I
I
barely use
mean,
it on my face. I usually use it on body parts. But go ahead.
yeah. See, the thing with the disposable blade is that these are literally on another level of sharp.
I
Like
know, I know.
these are beyond what I could ever, you know,
They're
put on an
micro
edge or
thin. They're
anything.
micro thin too.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's just like back then they didn't have these around, so they didn't use them, and you could make do. And you know the whole process of it and all. Like I have old-fashioned barber stuff. I have clippers that are like over 100 years old that are no power. It looks like a pair of pliers with a spring, and you have to squeeze it for each cut, and it looks like a clipper head on a pair of pliers. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I
Mr.
mean,
G, you can get sorry, bud. Mr. G,
this is
you can get a little they have a little base thing you can get for underneath the clamp of the work sharp that makes it nice and solid. It makes it so it doesn't rock. I've been testing it out. There's a guy on Etsy who sells it. I did it in a video the other day. It works really good. I've used it many times. Um the work sharp is a good gateway into dabbling and sharpening. Most people will want to eventually buy a better setup. Yeah, always. You're always going to want. That's why I recommend getting that attachment, because the attachment allows you to get different stones and different shit. But yeah, I
uh,
know what you're saying,
that's
and that's what scared me about that having the replaceable razors was that it was so thin and so sharp. Was that when I went to shave myself, I felt like I was going to cut myself.
see,
Not
man.
not
That's
that it
what
was so
you
sharp, but it was so thin. Like it was almost
right.
flimsy. It was so thin.
Yeah, I cut my fingers replacing them more than I actually cut people or myself when
Mhm.
I'm using them
Yeah.
shaving.
Yeah.
And you want it that sharp. It's not anything to be scared of, because I'll tell you, I would be far more scared to shave someone or myself with a blade that wasn't that sharp, because that's pretty much the only time that I ever nick somebody is if I hit an area where I come into resistance, whether it's due to not having, you know, shave gel or cream, or you know, the blade being sharp enough. That's basically the only variables when it oh, and then the coarseness of their hair. So some
Uh,
people's hair cuts easier, obviously, but
yeah.
between all those variables, the only time I'll ever nick somebody really is if the blade is dull, because as soon as you hit some kind of resistance, it'll catch it, and you know,
I know exactly what you mean. So
oftentimes
I'm not saying it was too
when
sharp, because I like it sharp, but the blades I got, I think it was the holder, because the way the holder was the blade came out so far, it was almost flimsy. So when I would put it on my skin, like, and also remember, this was the first time I was doing it. You know what I mean?
right,
So
yeah,
it just made me nervous how it was flimsy. I couldn't. Now, if I had used it for a couple weeks, I'd probably get really good at it. But
oh
just being
yeah, that's
fresh
all
to
there
it,
is
it
to
was
it.
But yeah, exactly. Fiend, can you possibly find a link for that new upgraded version of the Work Sharp? I'm pretty sure they got it out already. They sent me a link for it, but I haven't been to the site, but they did send me a link to it, so I thought it was available. Mine's in the mail right now, but they're sending it to me, so I didn't buy it, so I'm not positive. But how much of those replacement blades did you say?
Like $6 or $7 for
Okay.
100 of them.
Okay, that's not bad.
And
That's pretty good.
what you want to do is you want to practice on your leg or your arm first, just like if you're testing a knife for sharpness. A lot of times, if I run out of hair on my arms, I'll do it like up on top of my thigh where people aren't usually going to see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, I'm at the point in my life where I really could care less, what somebody has to say because I've just, I've been through all that. So.
So
Uh,
do you prefer those over the ones you can resharpen, right? You said because they're just so
yeah,
much sharper, so
yeah.
much keener. You can just replace it. You always have a sharp edge. Do you ever strop those little razors?
No,
You just replace them, right?
it's
Just
just one and
too
done.
cheap to fucking to do that, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
I
they
can
say
understand
that
that.
it's basically for like cleanliness and to prevent diseases and all that stuff, but honestly, that's really not a factor because well, you're supposed to spray all your
Thank you,
equipment,
Brian.
your clippers, your razor, everything with barbicide, which kills any type of disease or bacteria that you can think of. So whether it was the same blade or a different blade is irrelevant. Even if somebody bled on it, once you spray it with that stuff, there is
Done.
nothing that can be
Right.
transferred.
Yeah, I get it.
Period.
I get it. Yeah. I
It's
get
just
lots of
about the
stuff like that.
sharpness.
Since I work at a distillery, man, I get all kinds of fucking sanitizing shit and pure alcohol stuff. But let me ask you this: since you are a barber, right? You
Right.
use a straight razor. Do you ever get into folding straight razors? Like meaning not for I mean for EDC, not for shaving. Like say for pocket knives,
No.
like they have the what's it called? The Spanish tipped razor.
I get what you're saying. Well, are you saying like knives that basically like have that kind of
Blade,
like
blade shape.
just
Yeah.
a straight blade on a pocket knife?
Yes.
Um, one knife that really surprised me was this Yojimbo 2. This is
Okay.
the DLT exclusive in 20 CV,
Yeah.
and this is hands down one of my best cutters out of all my knives.
It's so thin
And
behind the edge too.
yeah, man, this thing, it just works so good. And it's basically, it's like, looks like a utility blade, which
Yeah.
looks exactly like a straight razor
Straight
blade when it
razor.
comes
Yeah.
down to it. And I mean, I could use this in the barber shop if I really wanted to, but
If you didn't want to scare the fuck out of people.
yeah. Well, actually, that's actually funny you mentioned that because when I was in the shop, whenever I wasn't busy, I had my LANSKY clamp to my toolbox, and I would be always sharpening knives. That's really where I learned how to sharpen well, and is all the time, like all the downtime when I was at the shop, it was just practicing sharpening and you know trial and
Did you
error
ever
until I
did
got
you
it.
ever see that Best Tech Spanish tipped razor?
I
It
didn't.
looks like a straight razor. I'll see if I can't pull it up really
Is it
quick.
kind of like the Hellraiser knife?
A little bit. I'll pull it up. I actually tried the custom version of this a while back. Here, I'm gonna pull it up for us. But the custom version was, I mean, out of this world. And there's so many different ways you can get it. But here it is right here. Dun, da, 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 bam. So 1 second, right here. You can see it. Can you
Not
see it?
yet.
Yeah,
Hold on.
there you go.
There's a delay on my
Yep,
laptop. Give me a
no
sec.
problem.
All right, I got it now. Oh yeah. You know what? Is that Riot doesn't make those, do they?
No, that's Best Tech. Best Tech does that.
It reminds me of a Riot.
So the custom versions, I have a video on the custom version of this. The designer does custom knives, and it was insane. But this is basically his design in a Best Tech, and it was pretty awesome. And I think they look cool. Obviously, they're
Man,
going
that
to be
knife
pretty
is right
useful.
up my alley.
I know. I
I
figured as
would
much.
love one of those. I really like the one with the carbon handle and then the like bolster and
This
the
one
heavy stone
or
wash or acid wash over to the right.
I really like this. Is that my card? I can't tell. So there's the shred carbon fiber, the micarta.
I like the
The,
one to the left now of you. It looks like looks like carbon fiber. Yeah, that
yeah,
one.
yeah, it looks
Oh
like
my
carbon
gosh,
fiber.
yes.
Yeah, that's
That
pretty
one.
cool. But yeah, they're pretty neat though. I kind of like them.
I
I
like it a
don't.
lot. How much are they?
Man, I don't know to be honest. I'm guessing about 180. Does this say right here? Let me see. I'm guessing around 180 bucks. This one says it's in stock, but I don't. Oh, 264 for the orange carbon fiber. So it looks like a cross cut orange carbon fiber one. So about 264.
And
So
what steel is that and what
M
pure slang?
390. M390.
All right. Yeah, I have a
Pretty
lot
sweet.
of M390 and a lot of 20 CV. That's probably my favorite everyday carry steel. Very well rounded.
Yeah, it's a good steel for sure, especially when you get it from specific companies that do it pretty
Yep.
good. The
Good heat
difference
treat is
though,
important.
when you try it from a custom heat treater, holy shit. You really feel the potential it has. And it's insane. Like the difference between most companies doing it around 60 HRC and getting it around 63, 64 HRC. I mean, night and day difference. Like it's
Uh,
insane. But
I'm really curious.
what's up?
I'm really curious to see how the Hinder 20 CV stacks up against the Spyderco because I have a ton of Spyderco knives in 20 CV, and I'm just curious to see how this, the edge holds up and the, toughness, edge retention, all that. Sharpening, it seemed pretty much like the same.
So I've done a lot of Hinders M390 and 20 CV. So usually it's ran a little bit softer, and but they do that on purpose because theirs are more harder use. They expect their knives to be used for prying and heavy duty shit. So
Gives you more toughness,
yeah, they want it to be a little bit
little
tougher.
less edge retention.
However, there's been a couple times I've gotten some in and it's incredible. Like it seems like it's way harder than all the other ones. So it does depend. Just like I had ZTs. I've done so many ZTs, and ZTs is just known for doing their steel soft. The last two ZTs I've done blew me away on fucking how hard their M3 or 20 CV felt.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that gives me hope because I'll tell you what, both of these were pain in the ass to reprofile.
I bet.
And
I bet.
and you know what? The sheep's foot, I really didn't have to reprofile this much at all.
I love
It
that.
was very close to this edge already.
I love that
And
blade
this
shape,
is a
man. That's my
this
fucking
is
blade shape right there. I love
yes,
that blade
sir, it's
shape.
great. It was like 20 degrees when I got it, and I brought it down to 17, which is
Nice.
the bevel looks exactly the same pretty much
Oh no
because
shit.
this happens to have the thinner blade, you know. So
Oh
it
right,
doesn't, you
right,
can
right.
get it nice and a nice thin or bevel on it without making it look all crazy. And it took some time to get down through that. And I mean, it was at the point like when I started, you couldn't see the Sharpie line left on the edge
Mhm.
unless you looked at it like super close under a bright light and like a
Yeah.
magnifying glass. Like it was just that last little bit. right before you get the burr.
Yeah.
And it took at least 30 minutes just to get through that. It was crazy.
I know what you mean. I've had that where I'm literally working on an edge and there's just either one little part like near the heel or even just all
Oh
the way
my
across
God.
it. And it's like,
Dude.
damn it. And do you know the heel, when it's by the heel, the reason why that is because that's where they come into the belt to go to sharpen. So it's deeper. It's way deeper than the rest of the edge. And that's why it takes so long to sharpen that out, because it's not the same angle and it's just deeper. So it can be a bitch, but once you reprofile it, especially on a flat stone, whether it's a fixed angle system or a freehand, if you can get a nice flat bevel, that then from there on, it will be so much faster to sharpen it, like 3 times as fast.
Now, this, can you hear me?
Yep.
This really gave me trouble right after the tip, right where the belly starts. That the first time, basically I sharpened it twice, went through all the progressions twice, and at the end of it, it just wouldn't get sharp right there. So I went back down and did it all over again, and now it's like a laser. But
sometimes it's not a
yeah.
bad idea to take a break and go back at it. I know I've got a knife right now on the bench right now. I was working on it, and it's not that I was getting irritated or frustrated, it's just it was taking a while. So I said, you know what? I'm taking a break, because I don't try to allow myself to get frustrated or my hands to hurt too bad. If that starts happening, because it's happened so many times that I know like the effects and I know what winds up happening. So just put it down.
Start
I'll be
getting
back.
impatient.
Yeah, you start
After a certain
exactly.
amount of time, you're just
Yep.
like, I'm done with this. I'm ready to either move on or take a break.
Right,
And it's
right. So just put it
always
down.
better to take the break.
Always. It's always better. So
Yeah,
much
you
better
have
to do
to.
that.
Every time that I haven't gotten a knife sharp, it was because I basically got impatient, and I felt like I had the slightest amount of burr
Yeah.
across the whole blade, but it just needed that little bit more. And
Yeah.
I ended up going through the whole progression and not being able to get as sharp as I wanted and having to go all the way back. So after you do that enough times, you learn to just take a break and come back to it, because it's not worth having to start all over.
Right, right. And just even just the frustration and rushing and things like that, you're so much better when you're fresh and you're willing. I always say this to everybody sharpening. Go into it without a time limit, taking your time, being patient, maybe watching a show, listening to something. Literally go into it comfortably. Go into it, your mind fresh, like just having fun, enjoying yourself, because you want to stop and look at your edge a lot. You want to be patient with it. You don't want to be like, fucking get this thing done. You don't want to be like that. If you're like that, you're just going to get more and more frustrated. And it's better. Now, sometimes, yes, you need a little pressure because you're removing a lot of steel, but there's a lot of times where you don't want to do that, because now your next stone is going to take that much longer because your scratch pattern is so deep. So I want to talk about some geometry things. So I had it written down to talk about thickness behind the edge, how it's not as
All right.
important as geometry and blade stock thickness. And I guess where I'm going with this is that sometimes we get held up with wanting behind the edge thickness, like 10 thousandths behind the edge, 15 thousandths behind the edge. And we'll hear a knife and somebody will measure it, or we'll find out it's 20 thousandths behind the edge. And we might look at that and say, oh, that's too thick, because now when I sharpen it, it's going to be 22 thousandths, then 25 thousandths behind the edge. And I think we should not do that, because I know I've been that way and I've done that to myself. It's better to look at the height of the blade and find out what the stock thickness is, because if it's 20 thousandths behind the edge, if you find out it's a tall knife and it's only 90 thousandths thick at the spine, or even 120 thousandths thick at the spine, 20 thousandths doesn't matter. That's a good thing, because think about it. It's going to be so
20
slow.
thousandths is a PM2.
Right. It's a PM2, but when it's tall, like if that was 20 thousandths and it's only this tall and it's 140 thousandths blade stock thickness, yes, now you're talking about that's horrible geometry. But when it winds up being a nice tall grind, 120 thousandths blade stock thickness, that's amazing geometry. You're going to be able to sharpen it 4 or 5 times and it'll probably still be right around 20 thousandths, which is what you want. And you can still lay back the angle and it will be an amazing cutter, just as good as a lot of really thin knives that are, the same thickness.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So back to the Yojimbo 2, this has to be what, 140 or 150 thousandths blade stock?
I think it's 140. The Mannix 2 is 130. I think the Yojimbo is 140. Either 140 or 150.
Yeah. So with that blade stock, to me, it seems like that doesn't affect it at all with having the hollow grind and the thinness behind the edge and then a good edge on the knife.
Yeah.
This thickness up here, it's like, this thing cuts like that's not even there for me. I feel like
I'll look it up here in just a second, Paul. Thank you for the donation. I will look it up.
This cuts better.
Strike OTF. No, sorry, go ahead.
This Yojimbo 2 cuts better than any paramilitary 2 or para 3 that I've ever had by a long shot. This is a competitor with like your Gale Bradley 2 in my experience.
The problem with them, now I agree, the Gale Bradley 2 is fucking amazing. I love the Gale Bradley. I actually got one in for sharpening right now. They take an amazing edge. But the one problem with the Yojimbo, now this is only a problem when it becomes a problem, but the tip is so fine on it. You can round it by using it too much, or like by using a utility cutter like this. If you hit something, scrape something, I've gotten so many of them in for tip repair because
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, that's the one downfall. But that's just the the give and take, right? You want amazing geometry with certain blade shapes, but yeah, you're right. It's so thin. I forget what it is. I think it's like 10 thousandths behind the edge. It's so thin. It's a screamer.
That's the exact reason that I always carry 2 knives. And
thank you for coming, Logical.
Some days it'll be a tool steel knife and a stainless knife, but most days it'll be a knife that is really thin and slicey and it might have a fragile tip like this. And then something beefy and chunky that I just want to carry that still cuts good, but it's just not in the same class. Because if I want to cut something that's going to be hard or whatever that I need to do with the tip, I'm going to do it with the thicker knife, obviously, than with the Yojimbo 2. And when it comes to slicing some cardboard or whatever, something that's not going to be an issue, I'm going to choose this every time and it just blows right through it. So it's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Yeah, for sure. You always want to look for the right tool for the job. And with that, originally it was for self-defense. Yep. So a knife that's for self-defense originally, it's going to have its limits, but it's still, man, it's such an amazing, because of the blade shape being this type of blade shape, it's like you said, it's like a utility cutter. So that's always going to work really good for EDC. Scott Copper. I'm trying to type this name in really quick so we can look up this knife. Here it is. Images.
I gotta be honest. Sorry.
I'm gonna pull this up really quick so we can just take a look at it. This is the Striker OTF. I don't know which one. I'm guessing it's that top one. They don't have many pictures on it. I'm guessing it's this one or no, because it's by Scott Topper. Let's check this one. I don't know if I'm not getting it when I look it up. This one. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting it. I don't know. I'm not getting it.
What? Is it an
But
OTF?
it was an OTF, the Striker OTF by Scott Topper. I tried to find it, but there was a bunch of different ones. None of them said that they were by Scott Topper, though, at least from what I've seen. I mean, I
That's
can see
something that's on my list.
an
It's a nice
OTF.
OTF. Yeah. See, I actually had one of the supposed to be nicest ones, which was the Microtech Scarab 2, and it was like mint condition. The action on it, when I first took it out of the box, I could fire it and deploy it all through, basically all through my first impressions video. As soon as I was done filming, I could no longer retract it with just one hand
I
because
got it.
it literally wore out my thumb muscle that much to where
Yeah.
even the next day and the day after, I could maybe fire it and retract it one time. And then, I mean, to me, with OTFs, that's like 99% of the point of having them is, the action and fidgeting and stuff because, you don't have a very solid lockup unless you want to spend $1,000 on a Hawk. You
Yep.
don't
Yep.
have necessarily the best blade shape or blade
They're
geometry
not the
or
most
anything like that.
useful
Like
either.
you can make it work for stuff, but
They're good
it's like,
for stabbing. It's a strike.
yeah,
Yeah. I put in strike. Paul Munko. Thank you for the donation. I got it pulled up right here. So it's a custom OTF, and these things look
damn,
insane. You can tell they're
wow.
handmade. This
I've
blade
never
on
heard
this
of him.
one just looks crazy. I can't imagine the price tag on these. These things look crazy.
Damn, I like
You,
that.
yeah.
It's like the same
Wow.
kind of switch location as the Dirac.
Um, Man, yeah, these things are wicked. Look at this one. Holy cow! Look at that one. It looks like a ship. Looks like a damn
Damn.
prison shank.
Yeah.
Looks like something you make on a
Look
lonely
at
night
that
in
one.
prison.
What the? That's
Oh,
crazy. The handle kind of looks like a coffin.
yeah, it does. And then look, it's kind of like it's like what? Oh, shit! I just messed it up. It looked like it had like wires around it. And look, it looks like it comes in a coffin. It looks like he makes
Right.
a couple other knives too. But look at this thing. Looks like something you carve out with a lonely night in prison.
It's
Um,
like looks like a mix between that and like some hipster jewelry.
yeah, some nose piercings or something.
Hey man, I got double nose piercing. Don't hate on nose piercings. I'm
I don't give
talking
a
about
shit.
I'm talking about the wires around the different rocks and or no, crystals. That's it. They all have,
But it does
their
though. Look at these things.
home
It looks like
homemade
the
crystal
hoops.
jewelry.
It looks like the hoops for nose piercing or ear piercings. Which is pretty cool. I mean, I've never seen an OTF with. I'm trying to look at it because actually,
Kind of has like a Mad Max
it's
look.
into the handle. If you look at it, it actually wraps from one side to the other, and it's
It's
all
like
the
it's
way.
pierced.
But it's indented into the sides as well. I know you guys can't see it as good as I can, but it's like embedded into the sides, into the
Yeah.
corners as well.
It looks
Like
like it's
almost like
literally
it's
a piercing.
right, like it's been there for years though. You know how like if you have an earring in for a very long time, it starts like
Mm-hmm.
embedding into your skin, kind of like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've
Reminds
never
me of
seen
Mad
them.
Max.
There you go. Yeah, it does. It does. I've never
But
seen
it's
them
like
before.
it doesn't look cheap. Like it looks nice. That
For sure.
Damascus looks good too.
Paul
Nice
Monko says
pattern.
no screws. The rings hold it together. Thank you for the donation,
Oh
Paul. Man, thank
wow.
you. That's crazy, right? No
Now
screws. The
do
rings
the
actually
rings
hold
have
it
a
together.
hinge? Are they
I,
hinged?
I don't know. I don't
Because
know.
like some of my I had small hoops before for my nose and they were actually hinged and
Yeah,
they click shut.
Ian says the second one sold for over $4,700.
Oh my
Damn.
God. All right.
Fuck.
Yeah, I don't need to be looking at these. That's way out of my
But
budget.
you were right though. Like the OTFs, that we know what they're for, right? They're for self
Right.
defense. They're for sticking. Now, can they?
Self-defense and fun.
Right, self defense and fun. Now, yes, you can use it as an EDC to open things up for cutting tape, opening boxes. Yes, they'll work just fine. But for cutting, like, say, cardboard or any type of work, they're no good. One, they don't cut very good because the geometry is just not good. And two, it's not smart to repeat a cut with an edge coming back at you. Like, it's just not smart to do that. Like, I've tested a lot of, or, a few OTFs, and that's one thing you always got to be careful with is that edge always coming back at you. When you're so used to using a regular knife, you're used to doing this stuff. You're used to the edge coming back at you and not worrying about the spine of the knife hitting you. But when that winds up being sharp, now you got to be careful for your thumb. You
Yeah,
got to be careful for
you
that.
don't want to place your thumb on top of a double
And
edge.
you will by accident trying
Oh
to get
yeah.
pressure. So it's smart to just keep it for opening boxes, self-defense, and for fun. But yeah, they are fun though. And I remember when I was younger, when I first got one, I thought it was the most badass thing ever. Like, I thought I was so badass having an OTF.
I had some cheap ones from the flea market and stuff, and they were, man, I'll tell you what, the action on that was better than
Stacy,
my damn Microtech.
with which one?
Uh, a flea market OTF, the action was better than my Scarab 2,
You probably
and
just needed a
it had
little oil on it.
it had no more blade play or anything or trigger slop. It probably had less slop in the trigger than the Microtech did. Now,
Wow.
the Scarab 2, like it looked beautiful, but the action was just sucked, and it's not really a practical knife, so I ended up trading that off, and I made it clear in the description that it had a really stiff action and everything, and ended up trading it for kind of
Well,
below what the regular value would be, even though it
I
was
think that
basically brand new.
the stiff triggers that's on purpose. So one, it's made so that because the springs are made to last forever, and the trigger's made to not go off in your pocket and to be difficult. So a child can't just pick it up and use it. It's made to be strong.
Yeah,
So which a lot
that's
of
one
people like,
benefit.
because I always get asked about OTFs. Like, aren't you afraid they're going to go off in your pocket? And it's like, trust me, if you fired this thing off, you would never be scared of it going off in your pocket. It'd be impossible.
Shit,
You have to mean to open it.
I'd be much more worried about a weak detent than a freaking OTF.
Right.
Weak detent will freaking slice you up, especially if you're carrying freaking tip up or no, tip down. If you're carrying tip down and you have a weak detent, oh man, you can have that thing go through your freaking hand.
D-Bass, what was my favorite or my first quality knife that I bought? So, back in the day, I had a lot of like fixed blades and good quality fixed blades, but not counting those, my first like good purchase was like a $60-$70 Kershaw. That I wound up repeat buying like 3 times because I kept getting it stolen off the job site or losing whatever. And then after that, it was another Kershaw, the bare knuckle and the knockout. And then after that, we upgraded and I wound up getting the NV1. I still have it, and they only made 100 of them. And that was like my biggest purchase at the time. Like over $200. But I jumped from like 60, $70. I mean, I bought a couple knives around the $100 mark, but then jumping to when you're used to a $60, $70 price range for knives, jumping up to $200, it's a big deal. And at the time, like, I was fresh off of probation. I was still paying payments, trying to get out of court and trying to get my shit together. So, Jared, your hair's growing back. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, there is a scar.
Scar.
I don't know. I don't know if they see the scar on the side of my head. Actually, it's on this side. I got a lot of scars. I don't know if they're talking about me though. I don't think so.
They might be
Uh,
talking about my arm right here near my elbow. I
maybe,
have a skin
maybe they're
graft.
talking about themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, everyday EDC says he bought the damn titanium roach due to this dummy's channel. That's me. I think
Man,
it's
you know
waiting.
what? I was looking at it this morning on Amazon. I was thinking about it, but I don't like S35 enough for the spend the extra money, and I haven't tried N690 yet. So that's actually something I wanted to get your opinion on.
N690 is a good steel. I like S35 VM, but I'll be honest, I like S30V more than S35. But there's nothing wrong with the S35. S35 is a good steel. I just don't like. I like having it with a coarse grit. So if I sharpen it, I always recommend doing a medium grit edge. Now I've heard that if
Right.
you take it to a high grit and then finish it with a ceramic, you can get a really good polish on it that has a lot of bite. But my
Oh
problem
my
isn't
God.
whether or not it takes a good bite is how long the bite lasts, because a lot of
Oh,
edges that don't take a good polish, they wind up losing it really quick when you start using it on anything. Like me personally, I cut a lot of cardboard stuff. If you're just cutting tape, it probably won't matter. But if you're
yeah.
cutting things that are abrasive, like rope straps, like these plastic straps I have at work, taking one of those edges that have bite but lose bite quick, cutting one of those
Right.
straps just rips the
Oh
bite
yeah,
right off
it'll
the
do
edge.
it.
Right after that, I go to touch the edge and it's fucking gone, and it's like,
Man, that's
damn
why
it.
I don't like S30V
Well,
because I'll lose all that bite within
you
a
mean
couple cut
S35?
strikes.
You mean
No,
S35?
S30.
Oh man, that's
Now
why I
the
do like S30V. S30V takes an amazing bite technique.
Oh,
I love the
yeah,
way it
no,
cuts.
I can get it with amazing bite. It just doesn't keep it for the amount of time that I put into sharpening it compared to how long it lasts. It's just not worth it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think so many people do different things, and your lifestyle and what you do is going to be a big factor to the type of steel you want. And that's kind of the beauty of us having so many variety, right? All this variety of steel, because like even like me and Mike, there's steels we agree and disagree on what we like or don't like. We sharpen a little bit different, even though we both freehand, we still sharpen a little bit different. He uses
Right.
aluminum oxide and he does a freehand convex. I do a V grind and I prefer I mean I do aluminum oxide too, but my point is that that's kind of the beauty. But N690 though it is a low mid grade or high budget steel, right? I think it's
Is it
somewhere
like
right
14C?
right there. I like 14C a little bit better. I know Russ was waiting for me to bring up 14C, but I think I like 14C a little bit better. I honestly think it's very similar to 154 CM.
All right,
VG10 154
that's
CM.
not
Yeah,
bad.
great steel. But it takes a really good polish though, usually.
Especially for a freaking $80 knife with micarta and
Yeah,
a nice blade grind, nice ergonomics and stuff.
for
Man,
sure.
that
For
thing
sure.
looks. One of my favorite models of all times is the Shaman. I have four
Yeah,
Shamans.
I like the Shaman. You have four of them?
Yep, I
Nice.
got. This is the Cutlery Shop exclusive Stonewash XHP Shaman with Serpent's Run custom micarta scales. I bronzed the hardware and a lynch clip.
What
And
custom
then
scales did you say those were?
Serpent's Run custom micarta. These,
Oh, those are
man, I was
gorgeous.
on a quest
Oh
to
man, those look
find
beautiful.
shaman scales that I liked.
Yeah,
And I tried a lot of different companies, and these blow all of them out of the water. This guy does amazing work. I love these scales.
they look
They
amazing. They
are
look
freaking
almost
great.
antique.
Maybe I'll send this over to you for you to check out.
They look
Um,
antique. Christopher Skip says,
yeah,
teach a man to make a fire and he can always cook food. Light a man on fire and you can
man,
cook him over, or you can cook him over once. My first over $200 knife was a Benchmade mini grip from the custom shop, M4 Custom G10 Tonto. Nice, nice.
Now, are you ready?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
there's like I don't know like if the delay and everything in my laptop showing me like
Yeah,
all
there
off
is a little
screen.
delay. Pay attention to this. Don't pay attention to the laptop because the laptop's going to be, that's where the delay will be. Between me and
I
you
don't have
won't be
my
a delay.
I don't have
Shouldn't
my
be.
phone fit. I'm using my back camera, and
Oh,
then
I
I have a
got you.
laptop
I
down
got
with it.
you. Okay,
But
so
it's working
that's why
out.
we're kind of mixing up because we do have a little bit of a delay. Okay, no problem, no problem. I'll take my time a little bit more. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Now these so you saw the first two, the Rec exclusive River's Edge cutlery,
Yep.
and then the cutlery shop, and then I have the Knife Joker crew wear, and this comes with the green like forest green scales,
Yeah.
but the scales that's on it is actually the stock scales from the cutlery shop exclusive. These were orange, and I dyed them until I got them black, and I did the skinny mod myself. So these are actually factory scales,
Nice.
and
Yeah,
got the
man,
all
crew wear
black
is a.
look going on.
I love crew wear, man. Crew wear is such a good steel.
It sharpened
So
up real good.
Matt Harvey's asking, what's my experience with 3V? I love 3V. I think 3V takes an incredible edge. I think it's obviously it's the toughest steel. I mean, it's incredibly tough. It's not stain resistant, so you do want to take care of it. I always take care of it. Like I just don't let it rust or patina, unless if you like patina, because a lot of people like what carbon steels do, where they get that dark smoky look. So you can get that with it if you want. But if you don't want that, then you keep it dry. Keep it dry. Don't cut food with it, But awesome, man. Really, really good knife. Here's the Gail Bradley's pulling up. I
Can you see
love.
the patina kind of on
Yeah,
it?
yeah. That's M4.
Yeah.
Yeah, M4
This is
does the same
actually
thing.
this has been like, sanded down lightly and stuff, over time. But it cuts great. And I just keep it like light patina on it. I put EDCI on it every once in a while. It's good to go.
Michael Morgan says, "Don't teach a man to fish. He's a grown man, and fishing's not that hard." That's funny. Jared, have you ever had a knife in Vanax? Yes, I have a knife in Vanax. I had two knives so far in it. My first experience with it wasn't great, but that was only because the edge was very burnt. I mean, like probably the worst burnt edge I've ever had. But once I reprofiled it, it changed everything. I love the steel. I like the fact that you don't have to worry about it. You can literally cut whatever you want with it, leave it. I always clean my knives, so I still take care of it, but it's a steel that you don't have to worry about. But it does have amazing edge retention, and it takes an incredibly sharp edge. It is a really good steel. I wish we seen it more often. It's just so exotic, we never see it. Heyman says, peace out. He'll check you out, Blades. Thank you, Heyman.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I see
Um,
my boy Angelo in the chat. What's up, Angelo?
Shout out to Angelo. So, do you have a favorite steel?
Man,
I know that's a
for
tough question, right?
I the first steel better than S30V that I had was 20CV, and since then I've gotten like almost everything that you can get like a Spyderco in, which is a lot of different steels, but basically like all the higher end steels.
Uh,
I mean, I'd have to say I use 20 CV the most, but XHP is one that really surprised me. I didn't have high expectations for it, and it's been really good. This Shaman is one of my most carried. Um, I
So
have S90V and K390 PM2s that I
I
carry a
love
lot,
K390.
and
Yeah,
they're
great
both
steels.
great. Um, I mean,
Um,
I have a bunch of M4, S30V, M390, Maximet. Uh, I mean that's about it right at the moment.
Cue ball, if you can match the size, you can get the washers right on Amazon. The bearings, I recommend going to Gillian or Skiff. There's a website where you can get all the sizes and everything. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You don't have to think too hard about them, but
All right.
a knife that you have that you loved, but then stopped caring for a while for whatever reason, and then came back to and realized how good of a knife it actually was after coming back to it. Appreciating the knife after after coming back to it. Sometimes I get that where because I review so many knives that there's sometimes I won't touch a knife
Oh,
or
I
use
got
it
it.
for 6 months, and then I'll come back to it. I'm like, damn it, now I remember
I
why I love
got it.
this knife so much. Go ahead.
Spidey Chef.
Spidey Chef. Okay.
Yep. When I first got this, like I had high expectations for it, and then when I first got it, I was a little bit underwhelmed because the action was real stiff and everything, and the lock was sticky and all that. So it wasn't like a lot of wow straight out of the box.
Uh-huh.
But after you know after carrying it and using it a lot, it just never failed to amaze me, especially doing little stuff in the kitchen because I don't have a good set of kitchen knives. So if I want to do like any fine cutting, it's going to be with a pocket knife because I keep all my edges really sharp.
Right,
And
right, right.
this knife just, I've even used it for, you know, other EDC stuff, cutting through harder materials or whatever.
Mhm.
I've sharpened this knife a ton of times, and the LC200N sharpens up easy. It's easy to get it sharp. It
Very easy.
the edge retention is pretty decent. The toughness is good. I mean, there's really the ergos are good. The geometry
Thanks,
is
Dean.
good. There's really not much to complain about other than, it might not be the most fidgety knife, but as far as, knife purposes go, this thing is excellent. And, you know, as I was getting a lot more new knives, pretty frequently, I put this to the side, and I always end up coming back to it, and it's always in my pocket. I'm using it almost every day. So
So I'm guessing after this live, Mike Emler has one going on because he has a new bell he wants to try out. So next question. How much time do you think a reviewer should spend on a knife to get a good opinion for a review? In the
you know,
pocket or whatever.
I have kind of it really depends on their review format. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's just like a tabletop review where they're reading off like specifications and stuff that you can get in like, basically anywhere that you have a description of the knife, that I don't really care for that stuff too much. But if they're actually doing like cutting footage and stuff,
Yeah.
then I don't mind the extra time. But I think if you're not doing cutting tests or cutting footage along with it, you should be able to wrap up your opinion in, I don't know, I would say 5 minutes. Because
Five
if you
minutes.
look at the statistics, I mean, people
Okay, but what
really
about I mean
only
like
usually
what I
watch a couple minutes of the video. They
yeah,
skip
yeah,
around, you know?
I see what you mean. So what I mean though is like so when I get a knife in, how much time do you think it should take me until I form my
Oh,
opinion? Like so,
Oh.
but I do get, I agree with what you're saying, because I think there are a lot of reviewers, they get the knife and they literally, they open and close it and just look at it and check it out. And I do think in that case, they're going to be able to form their opinion very quickly, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's some knives out there, and I've said this so many times, that some of my most favorite knives were knives that had to break in because they might have been a little stiff or maybe not as smooth. And over
Yeah.
time, after you really get, because you might get it in hand and be like, yeah, it's not really for me. But then 2 weeks later, after you've actually carried it, because if you carried it for a week, I don't mean you left it on your table
It
for
makes
2
all
weeks.
the difference in the world,
It
because
does.
how a knife fidgets and how a knife carries and then how a knife
Cut
actually cuts,
everything. Yeah.
it's, it's three different things.
How it
So
strops
that,
back, how it strops, how it
oh,
sharpens,
absolutely. The
all
steel,
that
the
stuff.
heat treat, all that
how,
stuff
how
plays a
easy it is in
factor in
and
my
out of the
mind.
pocket, because even that, like just being able to put it in and out of the pocket nicely. And then also, I think after that, though, after you've experienced that for a little while, you might say that same knife, like, man, I fell in love with this knife. This knife is just like
Yeah.
really grown on me. Or maybe like the action might have been a little stiff, but then after 3-4 days of fidgeting with it, or using it, because using it can also help breaking a knife, all of a sudden it's stupid smooth and it feels like it's on glass. Mike Emler is saying 1 to 1.5 weeks. Yeah, I think I agree. Like
Yeah.
between a week to 2 weeks.
You know,
And I mean,
my
sorry, go ahead.
opinion, well, to the first question, which I answered like not correctly because I thought you meant something else.
No, I'm glad
My
you answered it like
opinion,
that.
my opinion varies. I would say it could be up to 2 months, but in general, I would say at least 2 weeks. And that's why if you look at my channel, I have a lot of first impression videos and not a lot of full reviews on there, because you can only really carry and use and completely test out all aspects of so many knives at a time. There's only
Fact.
so many so many tasks that come up in a day
Right.
for each knife.
Yep.
So I want to give somebody a complete and honest, accurate opinion. So I mean, I could probably do it quicker than that, but
Well, I've
there's
had
always
people
little
literally
things that you
call me.
find.
I've had people literally message me after I've had it for not even a week, and they're like asking me how it's going, and I'm thinking like, dude, I haven't even gotten to your knife yet. First of all, but second of all, even if I did, like like you said, there's only so many things you can do with knife, and then if I have a knife in my pocket, right, I have to finish that one first. So I like, and I've said
Yep.
this a lot, like I try to carry a knife for at least 7 days for a review.
Hmm.
Now, I might not do it 7 days in a row, but I usually do at least 3 to 4 days in a row. And some knives, it winds up
Cheers.
being the whole week in a row. Cheers to you. But I do like to not just form my opinion based off of how it feels in my hand, how it feels on my table, how it looks, because there's so many times where I've watched reviewers do that, and I'm thinking in my head like, dude, you didn't even talk about this problem, or and I know you didn't come with that problem because you
Yep.
never did anything with it, or lots of other reasons. So because of
And you
that,
know what?
I don't want that to fall on me too, which it has. People have called me out for shit like that, so
But that's the thing, because when I first started, I put all my thoughts down on paper so I didn't forget anything, and I went at it with that approach. But then the video just, it didn't sound good. It was awkward and everything. So after that, I just did it off the fly, and I try to keep all my thoughts together, but there's always something that I end up forgetting to mention, or that I wish I would have said about something. So it's just like that's why I don't like to rush. If I'm gonna put full review, I want it to be a full review, with all
yeah.
the information. And I've had one person so far send me a knife, and it was the Vero Axon, and it was one of my buddies in the Millie Club, and he he sent it to me, and he didn't ask about it like one time. I mean, me and him chat, you know, here and there, but I actually was the one to, you know, message him and keep him updated because that's just how I am. I didn't want him to, you know, be worried or anything. And after I got the initial, you know, first impressions and stuff done, like the day that I got it, basically, and I messaged him. I was like, you know, how soon do you want this back? Do you like, you know, do you care if I carry it or whatever to do a full
Mhm.
review? And he said, take as much time as you need,
Yeah,
blah
that's
blah,
always good to
carry
hear.
it, do whatever. And you know, I take care of all my knives, but when it's someone else's knives, I'm gonna obviously, you know,
Take even
be
better
more
care of it,
conscious of it.
of
And
course.
I really only carried it like around the house, and I did like some little random stuff, like just intentionally to test it out to kind of speed up that process. And it would have been back to him like within a, you know, another week. Like, say it takes a week to get to me, and then a week to do what I need to do, and then a week to get back to him. So that's 3 weeks. So
How I
I
always
actually,
keep knives longer than a week for review. You know, because it's gonna, no matter what, I'm gonna have your knife. If I'm doing it for review, I'm gonna have it for at least a month. Now, there's times where I've had it for for 2 months. It does depend because there are times where people
yeah,
are like, "Hey, man, you know, you want to check this knife out, but I'd like to get it back in a couple weeks." Sure, you know, but I'm not going to be able to do an actual full review. I mean, I'll do a review, but it's not going to be,
right,
you know, because you know, in order for me, like say if I'm going to actually test it and bring it to work and things like that, I have other knives
yeah,
already ahead of it already, right? So
right.
that's going to push it back a few days at least.
And then you
So
have the knife that you want to carry on top of that, you
you
know?
always have that. You always have that. And then even if I say like I'm not going to take it to work or anything, I'm just going to use it around the house. That's fine. I could literally take a knife and review it in 10 minutes if I really wanted
Right.
to. But
But it's not
how,
gonna
how
be a
honest is it?
full
And how honest
you're
is it?
not gonna be able to tell, you know, all those things. Like especially when you're trying to like simulate your EDC use, it's different than like in the moment on the fly,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
For sure. For sure.
Because like you're actually, you know, you're actually like focusing on doing that task. You're not just like in the middle of something and then going to do it, and there's a difference.
Even the difference between taking clean stuff versus dirty stuff, you know, stuff that has tape, uh staples, things like that. Not saying you're going to hit staples, but I'm saying
Oh
avoiding
yeah,
them. And then tape,
right.
you know, how it winds up getting after it gets a little dirty and stuff. There's so many different variables of reviewing, you know, depending on how, you know, how much time you do have with it, what kind of knife is it. And I always take care of everybody's knives. I try to return them just like they came, if not better sometimes.
Yep,
You know, and unless if they, you know, pay for an edge and, you know, say for me to test it and then put an edge on it, you know, then obviously I send it back sharpened. But
right.
but yeah, I do agree though, if you're not doing anything with the knife, like you said at first, though, a quick review, 5-10 minutes. I know I don't like to do a video under 10 minutes, and I do them sometimes, you know, five,
I
seven
don't
minutes.
either, but it's like it depends on what it is, and it depends like how valuable, like not
That's
valuable
true.
in general or valuable to me, but like how valuable the information,
Yeah.
how valuable I think it's going to be to the audience, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it's like
Well, if they're not
that's
going to
going to
watch but
depend
a
how
minute of
much
it anyway.
time that's going to vary on how much time and effort I really put into it. I mean, I put a lot of effort into anything. That's I always start everything at like 100% effort. But
Yeah.
you know, certain things, if I think it's something that a lot of people are going to care about, then I'm going to go above and beyond.
Right. Right. For sure. Yeah. And it's not, if it's something you appreciate too, you're going to do a little
Oh
bit more.
yeah.
Like I know I've had knives sent to me that from companies, that like kind of like this little Ravivon knife, right? I didn't test that. I didn't really do anything with it before I did the review because it's not something they just sent it to me and asked me to do a video on it. So I did. It's not something I
Right.
really give a shit about. So,
Right.
and it's not something because also this is the next thing. The reason why I said 10 minutes is because YouTube doesn't like to push videos that are under 10 minutes. They like to push videos that are 10 minutes or more because of the type of ads that can go in them. So the
Right.
ones that are under that, you'll notice, even if people only watch 1 minute of it, 1 or 2 minutes of it, but I try to get the type of videos I can use to build the channel as high as I can. But there are still a lot of times where it's only a minute or a few minutes long, just because it's not something that I really got to experience all that much. So I don't have much to say about it, you know.
Yeah.
But we're gonna close this thing up. I think I'm gonna tell a little story. But it was nice meeting you, bud. Thank you for coming
Nice
through.
meeting you.
Um,
Yes, sir. I enjoyed
de-
it.
Everybody definitely go check his channel out. I think Fiend is still in here. Maybe Fiend can pop that link up one more time for everybody that's in here that wasn't in here earlier. He's got a YouTube channel, Blades and Fades. All right, brother. Peace out, man.
All right, man. Peace out.
All right, guys. It is story time. Let's make this. Let me remove this. Let's make this a quick one. Well, hopefully it's quick. I actually had kind of a long story for tonight. So it involves a family member. Obviously, I'm not going to say her name or anything like that. But so I'm driving down the street, and I don't remember like where I was going or anything. But I was going to the gas station. Anyways, it was at night, and as I'm pulling up to the gas station, this person comes flying in. I mean, like flying in, almost hits the pump, slides across the parking lot. And I'm like, this dumb fuck, man, this must be somebody drunk. And you could tell they were drunk. You know how you can tell a drunk driver when you see one? Like, I was like, man, this fucking person's wasted. Then out falls because the door opens up and it's a girl and she just falls right to the ground. And I'm like, oh, this fucking drunk hooker. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And I look over and it's my fucking cousin. I'm like, damn it. I got to go be Captain Save-A-Ho now. So I go over to her and, I see how bad it is. Like she's on another level of intoxicated. I don't even know how she made it where she made it. And I scoop her up, right? I scoop her up. She realizes it's me, and I tell her, I'm throwing you in my car, right? So I grab her, I scoop her up, I throw her in my fucking car. And oh no. I threw her in her car in her passenger seat, and then I jumped in her car. I had somebody with me. I said, drive my car home. I took her car. I think it was her car, one or the other. Either I had the person drive my car, one or the other. Anyways, so as I'm turning around, right, to drive her back, to my house, because I'm thinking like I gotta let her sleep this off or whatever. She's gonna wind up in jail, and she's already got a record. She's been locked up before. Like this is not gonna be a good thing if the cops show up. Like I could tell you some stories about us growing up, with her getting arrested and just shit that's happened with us. But anyways, this is a different story. So as I'm driving her back, she's telling me about her boyfriend. Now, our history with her boyfriends, like I've gotten into fights with her boyfriends. I've beat them up for acting a fool with her, just being protective over my cousin and shit. Well, then eventually came a time where I stopped because she was the type of girl that would, let's say, get abused, right? But then go right back with the guy, and she's the type of girl that you would I hate to talk about my cousin like that, but it's just a fact, right? And anyway, so, and at this point, like she's doing questionable things for a career, right? And so we're on the way back, and she mentions that he did something to her, and she's wanting me to beat his ass And I said, I ain't fucking doing nothing. I said, I've done that for the last time. I said, because I'll go and beat the shit out of this guy, and then you're gonna be right back with him tomorrow, and then I'm the dickhead. And she's telling me like, oh, he did this, he did that. And I said, you probably fucking deserved it. When I said that, she grabs the wheel of the car. I probably shouldn't have said that because she's intoxicated and everything. So she grabs the wheel and fucking cranks it, and now I'm going sideways down the road, and I grab a hold of it, probably stiff arm her over to the window, and I'm trying to just get to my house, and I'm not far away, so it doesn't take me far to get there, but dangerous things can happen in a block, right? So she's going crazy, and I think she might have slapped me a couple times or something, I don't really care, but I get to my location, and I get out, and she's going crazy, and I'm like trying to settle her down. I said, like, listen, just go in the house, right? Sleep this off. Well, then now she starts getting a bug up her ass. She wants to leave, and I'm like, no, you're not leaving. Like, I'm taking your keys. You're not going anywhere. Like, she couldn't walk, let alone drive, and she's starting to like try to kick out the windows of the car, and from inside the car, because now she won't get out, and I got the keys, I'm outside the car. Now I'm not letting her out of the car, right? Like, if she tries to get out, I'm just shutting the door. Like, you're not getting out of this car in my fucking, you're gonna destroy my house or something. So now she's trying to get out, and she keeps trying to open the door, and I'm just shutting it. And she's like, well, I want to go inside. It's like, you're not going inside my house now. You're going to break everything in my house. Like, you're trying to break your own car windows. I'm not letting you in my house now until you calm down, at least, right? You calm down. And so then finally she kind of calms down after trying to kick out her own windows from the inside of her car. She gets out, and the second she gets out, she starts swinging on me, right? She starts swinging on me. And so now I got a girl in my driveway swinging at me. And you guys can imagine what that looks like, because neighbors see a guy and a girl, right? And she's so drunk that throwing a swing at me, she hits the ground. So now I look like, and at one point she swung at me and hits the ground and starts going, oh, my stomach, like as if I hit her in the stomach, not meaning I hit her in the stomach, but that's what it looks like because she's so drunk. So now any neighbor looking, they're thinking I just beat the shit out of this girl, right? I haven't laid a hand, I haven't touched her, right? Besides maybe blocking a few punches or something. And I'm like, motherfucker, man, I'm going to go to jail, right? Like, these cops are going to show up and I'm going to jail. And so she keeps screaming that she wants her keys. She wants her keys. I'm like, listen, I'm not letting you leave my house to run into one of my neighbor's houses on the way out of my driveway, because that's what would have happened. She would have pulled out of my driveway and just kept going straight instead of turning out, and just went right into my neighbor's house for sure, hands down. So I'm like, no, I'm not letting you leave. And I'm trying to protect her, right? I'm trying to do the right thing, the honorable thing. Like, all she had to do was go in my house and lay down on the couch and everything would have been fine. And I'm trying to save her life. Like, literally, like, I feel obligated at this point. Like, she's too intoxicated to do anything. If she wants to beat me up, whatever, I'm okay with that, as long as she doesn't wind up in jail tonight. Because with her record, like, she wouldn't have got out. So then she keeps wanting to leave, and I mean, she's like freaking out. Like, my neighbors are waking up now. She's screaming bloody murder. Like, my neighbors are all waking up, lights are coming on, and I'm like, damn it, I gotta get her out of here. So I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal with you. I said, I will get in the car and drive you 2 blocks down the road, and then you can leave. Right? Just so you don't hit one of my neighbors' houses. You can do whatever you want after we get about 2 blocks away. Right? And she's like, okay. So, obviously I'm lying. I'm not fucking gonna let her leave. So my plan is I'm gonna take her to the hospital, right? Like, they're not gonna do anything, but they're just gonna, because she is so bad right now at this point, like that, like, I'm worried about her. So I'm like, I'll just fucking drive her to the hospital. So as I'm driving, right, we're just talking, right? And she doesn't realize it yet. Right, that like I've been past 2 blocks. Finally, she like gets up over. She's like, "Hey, where are you going?" And then she starts like looking around, starts realizing the direction we're heading, and everything. She's like, "You're trying to take me to the hospital." And then she starts going ape shit again. So now she grabs the wheel again, trying to run me off the road. So I just pull over right there. Bam, pull over, grab the keys, jump out. It's the middle of winter. That's another thing. Pulling on a wheel in wintertime around here, holy shit. Like, you're just asking to kill somebody, if not, ourselves. So I jump out of the car, and it's so cold out. I know she's going to calm down now, because you're going to die. It's either you're going to freeze to death or you're going to calm down. So I called my brother-in-law. He's a really calm person that I knew having him there would make everything better. Like, one, I'm a little too hot tempered, but not just because of that, but because it's a new face, right? Like, sometimes you just need to take yourself out of a situation and replace it with somebody, right? So I knew he would be very calm, cool, and collective and take her to his house. So I wasn't gonna, let her get arrested. So I'm sitting there. I act like I left. I didn't leave. I didn't go anywhere. I literally just went like 50 feet, right, with the car, because I forgot to say this part. The person I was with that originally drove the car, I told them to tail me, all right, because I already knew like what was probably going to happen. Either one, I'm going to make it to the hospital, or two, I'm not. And if I don't, I'm going to need to leave her in that car and get away. So like I said, I pulled over on the side of the road, took the keys, jumped out, jumped in my van, and I acted like I left, but I didn't. So now I'm just watching her, making sure nothing's going to happen to her, making sure nobody, assaults her or kidnaps her or whatever, or she doesn't wind up hurting somebody, because she would, or going up to somebody's house or anything. But she stayed in the car. And like I said, I called my brother-in-law. He winds up showing up and taking her to his house. And it wound up being a situation where I tried saving my cousin's life, but it almost costed me saving her, which I love her to death. I would do anything for her, and she's done so much for me. And I have 100 great stories of her. This is just one of many bad ones. But I love her to death, and obviously I had her back, and I wasn't going to let her down in an emotional and trying time. And then she did wind up going back to that fucker, but they didn't last that long, which obviously, right? Obviously. But the thing was that before she got with this guy, like, I had told her already, like, you don't need to be with a guy like this, like, because of lots of different reasons that I'm not going to get into on here. But there was a lot of reasons why I knew he wasn't good. And yeah, so I already knew what was going to come of it. So it's like, when this happened, it's like, yeah, I fucking told you this was going to happen, you dumb bitch. Like, and it's like, you probably fucking deserved it. Like, all the way, because if you guys knew, right, like the way she talks, the way her attitude is, the way a lot of things are, it's like, you probably provoked it. But yeah, that's the story, guys. I love you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Sorry for my profanity in my mouth. But let's go over to Mike Emler's. I know he's got a new bell he wants to try out. Maybe I'll throw him a couple bones over there so he can test it out. I love you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for all the donations. And thank you to the moderators for always having my back on here. Thanks to Blades and Fades for coming and joining us tonight. I love you guys. Peace.